Hello, everyone, and welcome to the August 26th installment of the Flux Dev Meeting. I'll be your host, Allison. Just some general housekeeping before we begin. We abide by a code of conduct. So in short, in general, just means be excellent to each other. And with that all out the way, let's get right into the agenda. So the first topic, Scott's not here yet, so we can loop back to that afterwards. But let's just move straight on to Stacey's topics here.
Hey, everybody. So basically, I just wanted to give you all sorry, my phone is ringing real quick. Let me just turn that off. A quick update on the Flux booth for KubeCon NA 2021. So it looks like they've sent us requests if we wanted to opt for a Flux booth at KubeCon under the project pavilion. So I just wanted to make everyone aware that we'll be submitting for that. And from my understanding, if you choose to have an in-person booth, you will also get a virtual booth as well. So they will feature Flux both in person if we opt for an in-person booth, as well as the online platform. I had it confused earlier and I thought that we had to choose one or the other, but it looks like they'll do both. So it's my understanding that Scott and Kingdon, as of right now, are planning to attend in person. So we'll have both of them be the presence at the in-person booth. And then I will work with everyone else to schedule if we're going to be doing other talks and things like that for those days. So there's also maintainer track sessions, which Michael and Hida, and I think Lee's part of that as well, will be doing. If anyone else wants to present a maintainer track session, that call is still open and proposals are due September 6th. So reach out to me if you have something and I can get something submitted for you. And then project office hours, I reached out through the contributors Flux channel. And Stefan and Philip have volunteered, so thank you both for that. I will be in touch with you on scheduling those. I don't think I can do that until next week anyway, but I will get the earliest times I can possibly get for you guys. And then if there's any project announcements that we want to highlight or debut or launch or whatever at KubeCon, CNCF has requested that we let them know as soon as possible so that they can start their PR machine working in our favor. So I just wanted to put that out there that if we have any big announcements to make at KubeCon, that's something that we can get help with from PR.
When is the deadline for that?
For which part? There's different deadlines
for every
piece. Oh, for the big announcement. They just said, let us know as soon as possible, because I think there's so many moving pieces, but they said 1 to 2 months ahead. that was their deadline. So so they don't have a firm deadline. But I think the sooner we reach out to them and say, hey, we're going to have big news, we'll get them involved. And maybe they do offer like help in writing things and all of that stuff. So, you know, if we have some news that we want to share, I say, let's loop them in sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we'll think about it. I don't know what to say right now.
Yeah, totally. No problem. I'm just putting it all out there so everyone's aware.
Thank you, Stacey.
Yeah, of course. That's it for me on all the KubeCon Flux booth stuff. Thanks.
Oh, so other than Scott's item, this agenda is looking pretty chill and empty. So
I think I was just going to mention that there's another Flux One release in the pipeline, and it's not going to happen this week. I'm just going to wait and see if there are more bug fixes or contributions that come in. Just to put that out there, if there was anyone who was urgently waiting for the next Flux One release that fixes a small bug with rate limiting and Docker Hub. that is in the pipeline coming soon.
Cool.
So
Yeah, I
we
can.
got Flux 2 released today.
Yeah. Yeah. So today we've released Flux 2.0.17.0. This comes with improved garbage collection procedure that is meant to work nicely with other controllers. What happens right now if you upgrade is that Flux will no longer try to delete objects that are created by other controllers if those controllers apply the owner reference correctly to those objects. And we had some issues in the past with the Redis operator, the Kafka operator, also the Prometheus one if you don't deploy it through the Helm chart. So I made the release candidate for the new garbage collection. Some users tested it this week and last week. All works as expected, and this is now part of the Flux release. We also added new notification providers, thanks to Santochi here. So we now have support for Telegram, Matrix, and the third one, I forgot its name, Lark. Yeah, never used that, but people were asking for this alerting system, so now we've integrated with them. And one last thing, customized controller has been updated to the latest customized release, which is 4.03. This release happened this week, so we upgraded Flux. We ran all our end-to-end tests for customized patches, customized transformers, and so on. All was green, so we have released it. It comes with bug fixes on the customized side. And that's it about 0.17. We encourage all users to upgrade to this version. There are no breaking changes. There are only new features and the garbage collection improvement, which I think many of you waited for that. In other news, Santochi has volunteered to become a maintainer of Flux notification controller. Thank you very much, Santochi, for doing that. She has been helping us with not only notification controller, but also other components of Flux since, I don't know, 8 months now. And yeah, we are very happy to have Santochi on board. That's it.
Thank you, Stefan.
Want to say something, Santochi? You are muted.
I said thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Hey.
Yeah. Oh, I said thank you. Thank you, Stefan.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so that's it from me. As what happens during the summer, we still work on the refactoring bits. We are getting close on finalizing source controller refactoring that will come with case status compatibility and other major improvements to how the controller work and how it does all operations. We are also refactoring how we signal what the controllers are doing. So to add more observability features to Flux internals, so we'll have more status conditions. We'll also emit events, as in Kubernetes events, that will not end up on Slack or other alerting systems. And those events are for debugging and tracing what's happening inside Flux. For notifications, we'll try to send a single notification at the end of each reconciliation cycle. And we also want to make sure that we don't send notifications for reconciliation loop that didn't result in a change. Let's say we scan the image registry, there is no new image, we shouldn't send an alert and say, hey, we found this image, because we already found it. So yeah, we are working on trimming down the events that we forward to alerting systems while improving the observability of what our controllers are doing. And we also have started this work on image reflector controller, and we'll slowly do them all one at a time. And that's it from me.
It's good to hear that we're looking at revising the notifications. I have a couple of my reconciliations that I set to 178 hours because I don't need to know about the same image that we still have.
That's definitely an issue that we are looking at.
There's like a conflict between whether you own the repo or not. If it's a repo that you own, you can set up a webhook. So it doesn't really matter how long you set the interval because you'll get events as they happen. But if it's like I'm hooked up to Stefan Pradhan pod info, which I don't own and I can't set up a webhook on, I just have to decide how frequently do I really need updates in order to minimize the noise. I think I can hear about a pod info update every 72 hours, and that's probably often enough.
Yeah. Other things that we want to improve around alerting is, for example, we allow people to customize through a template how the git commit message should look when Flux founds new images and does the git push. But what you see on your Slack or Microsoft Teams or whatever, you just see that, hey, a new change has been pushed upstream. So you have to go into Git, do a Git history and see exactly what things have changed, because the actual information, what container images have been updated, it's only there in the commit message. And what we want to do is, instead of sending an alert, hey, we've pushed something to Git, we'll send the alert with the actual commit body. So you'll see the same thing you see in your Git history, you'll be able to see on Slack a list of container images and the new versions that were patched. And that will also improve, visibility. If you don't have access to the cluster, you cannot do a kubectl describe, or if you don't want to look every time in your repo and see what's going on.
Yeah, my refactoring of the commit status resource and all that kind of got put on ice as I went on summer vacation, which is kind of related to that, the standardization of the event metadata in the alerts that were the event data that's sent to the vacation controller. So I'll try to start picking that up also when I have some extra time over.
Yeah, there are some discussions around how exactly are we going to add more metadata to the events. We can, I don't know, create our own struct, metadata struct, and serialize it as a JSON and place it in event annotation, or extend the event type and diverge from Kubernetes itself. There are, advantages and trade-offs to both of these things. We have to decide how to move forward.
The way we're doing it today is that we have an event data or a metadata property that's just like a map with string key and value. And if we use like the Go templating with extensions there, really, I think that should be fine, right? It allows for enough dynamic behaviors where we don't have to update the metadata property every time there's a new extra parameter that goes into the event.
Yeah, I also been looking at cloud events and how they handle custom properties for events. We may want to consider dropping the Kubernetes event struct and implement our own cloud event and have a converter from the cloud event to the Kubernetes event and make notification control accept cloud events and also issue cloud events to outside systems. I'm not quite sure what's best here, but I think we need to create a list of things that people want to template and how they want to template it. I know
think
that,
I've already done that in the issue related to commit status metadata. So there's a list of some sort of like standardization there. It's been a while since I touched that. I'll link it to you.
okay, thank you.
Alrighty. I pinged Scott to see if he'd be coming around. Haven't heard back from him, so I'm unsure if anyone's got anything else they would like to raise, or if we can cut this one short and give everyone back 10 minutes of their day. I'm not quite 10, 40 minutes of their day. Or if you want, I can show off some of the improvements, the getting started guide. I did some work on that. I've been doing some work on that today and yesterday, and managed to get it in today thanks to Stefan for reviewing that.
Yeah, let's show that.
Yeah, so I actually have 2 screenshots up here of the before and after, so I can kind of explain the changes, and we can go and like kind of take a closer look at things. So let me just zoom in really close. And let me just share the screen. Can everyone see this all right? Yeah, that's awesome. If you can't see the text, just scream and I'll try to zoom in as much as I can. So I took 2 really big screenshots of the page before and after, so I could kind of demonstrate kind of the changes. I think one of the core things is that the focus around this guide is where we want it really, when I was going through it, I was thinking, how are we advocating to this person? What do we want to do? And what we really want is to get them started and have something up and running as quick as possible so they can see it happen for themselves, right? We don't want to put any like boundaries or bars or walls. We just want them, regardless of whether or not they know anything about Flux, just to be able to get it installed on their computer and start doing something with it so they can see the power of Flux and then realize, whoa, this is cool. I want to do more with this. Like I want to learn all about it. So one of the changes around that is at the start of this getting started guide, we kind of cut out the assumption that you need to have the knowledge of what these concepts are, because it's just running some commands in essence. So like once you've run the commands and got the thing running, you can then go back and be like, oh, that's how the big picture kind of glues together. So that's one thing. We kind of shortened prerequisites down to just before you begin and 2 bullet points, which is you need your cluster and your GitHub personal access token. And then we've added in here an objectives thing, an objectives list, which tells you this is what you're going to get. This is what we're going to do. This is the aim of this tutorial, right? And so next, we've just changed, instead of having it tabbed out CLI thing, we just kind of simplified it down to one example of you can use Homebrew, and if you need another installation method, you just need to go look at the installation documentation. Because what can happen if you have like all these like different methods and package managers and things, it's distracting. It can be distracting a bit because, you know, you're like, which package manager should I use or something, rather than, oh, yeah, if I don't have Brew, I'll just go grab Brew and get 0 to 100 as quick as possible. Export credentials. So you might notice with these, the new docs over here, there's a lot more headings and things are like broken out into more sections. And what this helps do is it helps break. I think there's this thing when you get like a giant section or like group of text or something, it can be, you get a bit of like paralysis, like, how to explain it? When there's like a giant blurb, you're like, oh gosh. So by breaking things out into individual sections and adding more white space, it makes it easy to like, you know, take breaks and follow along and kind of checkpoint where you're going. So there's that. Another thing as well is with that style guide that I added a while back that we managed to get in, you'll notice that a lot of the language that is in the old guide compared to the new one, we're talking more in like instead of saying we will or like it is, it's like the present tense, yeah. But yeah, it's pretty good. I think this will help people adopt Flux easier as they're not getting like you know, given heaps of different information and how to do things, especially Bootstrap. Before we had a lot of information about multi-arch images and you know, how do you do GitHub orgs and all that. And what we've done with the Bootstrap backup here is it's just, this is how you bootstrap and this is what happens. There needs to be some work done to capture some of this information elsewhere. But yeah.
Yeah, there is also a lot of history to this Get Started guide. We had, for example, separate repositories for ARM64. Then after our CI workflow has improved, we bundled everything in a single image. Then we had to update the Get Started guide and said to people, hey, we didn't delete the ARM64. It works on ARM64, but now it's in a single image. And that's why we put that notice there and so on. But yeah, I think the Get Started guide looks nicer, cleaner now. Yeah, all that information is already in the installation documentation, where there we say, hey, it works with these package managers, it works on this ARM, I don't know, Raspberry Pi's ARM64, AMD64, and so on. So yeah, it was a lot of duplicated things here and in the Get Started when it shouldn't be. So yeah, I'm really happy with what we have today. Thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah. And last thing that I just wanted to touch on is there is some things that we could do more to this, but I don't want to make this guide super long. Like maybe in the future we might end up checking things like, you know, customizing and suspending and you know, deleting manifests. Like this guide is all subject to change in the future maybe, but this is really good stuff for people to get started and going with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think next step will be to split the installation guide into multiple pages. I don't know, an overview and then some tasks, or however you want to call them. So people can choose from start, hey, I'm using Azure DevOps, so there is no point in reading all this Bootstrap CLI commands and all the things that are happening here, because Bootstrap works way differently on that platform. So you should, from the get-go, you should see, oh, I'm on Azure DevOps, let me go there, or I'm using GitHub Enterprise on-prem, right? That's where I want to focus my read up on that and not scroll through everything just to get information.
I think having an overview page of like all our installation stuff, I think what would be really cool is if we had like a table, a grid or something, where it's like, you know, this is what you're using. These are the installation methods that you should use. But I don't want to give someone the like too much choice that they're overwhelmed. But
yeah, and tables don't render nicely on mobile. So yeah,
oh yeah, true that.
we have to, I think we can just work with the menu and have the installation as a section with subsections, right? GitLab, GitHub, Azure DevOps, whatever. Yeah, it's hard to refactor the docs, but we have to do it. Because I tend to write like this huge single page documentation, and yeah, not everybody is okay with having like a huge wall of text. So
and on the plus side, it means we have like existing stuff to work with that we can like break out. So yeah, I think it's just a case of like just breaking that stuff out. So I think that area, now I've got the get started chocolatey. I'm going to next probably focus on the installation stuff. Kind of want to go through the improvements in a way where it's like, you know, where are people first going to look when they start using Flux, and like what are the kind of top things people are doing with Flux, and that is like troubleshooting. They need to know like how to just do one plain YAML manifest. So there's some work that needs to be done around that. And yeah, just gonna take it a little bit at a time. Yeah. But I think that's the docs changes. You can check all that out at docs fluxcd.io/docs/get-started. But yeah, that's that. Anyone got any questions or stuff they'd like to share as well?
I think we're all good. We can end here.
Alrighty, thank you everyone for coming along to today's meeting. We'll see you next week on Wednesday in the earlier slot, if you are coming to the earlier slot for European folks. Bye.
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 Bye.